What up, guys? I'm Zach from Flash Out Media, and I'm with my guy Harley, and we're here to give you, breakdowns, predictions of UFC Fight Night, Kai France versus Amir Albazi, starting from the first fight of the night up until the main event. Before we start, Harley, you got anything for the viewers?
No, man. Well, like as I always say, like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Flash Out Media, and we're gonna get into these breakdowns, man. It's not the biggest card as far as like big names go, but man, they got some sleepers on this card. I think it'll be an overall solid card, man. So don't sleep on the card and be sure to tune in on Saturday night, man. Should be a fun little card.
Absolutely. So first fight of the night, to kick it off, we have a 205 Maxim Grishin taking on Philipe Lins. This fight was supposed to happen last year. Injuries happen. We have Philipe Lins coming off of a really impressive win over OSP. And, we have Grishin, and he's coming off a unanimous decision over William Knight. Felipe being the more active guy, he's got knockout power. Gishin's got knockout power, but I think Maxine is more of a sharpshooter technician, and I feel like Felipe is just really throwing to get you out of there. If it's standing up, I gotta go with Maxine, and if it gets to the ground, I think Lens will have that advantage. But with that being said, I'm gonna go with Maxine Grishin to win this one.
Yeah, and I can see that. I can see this fight going either way. Truly a fight in my opinion going either way. Um, but I'm gonna stick with the underdog, man. I'm gonna go with Felipe Lins by KO. I see a lot of striking exchanges. I don't. I put it this way. I don't see this fight going to distance. I felt like one of them's gonna get knocked out. That's just how I feel in my gut. So that's why I say Lins with KO. But with that being said, I'm not riding off Grisham at all. I think either guy is live and to get it done. With that being said, I'm gonna go with Lynch by KO. This one could go either way. Uh, Grisham is a really good fighter with a lot of experience, but like you said, he's been out for a while. And I think Lynch will have the advantage on the feet as far as like hand speed and just the faster hands and a little more power. I see him catching Grissom to 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 uh to get the KO victory. Um, but I'm not sleeping on either guy. This one could go either way, man.
All right, we got second fight of the night, Juan Lacerda taking on Damon Blackshear. Probably one of the closer fights for me to break down and pick. Both guys have only ran into dogs in the UFC. Juan Lacerda, he had a fight with Cody Stamann in his debut that he lost, and Damon Blackshear just coming off a loss versus Farid Basharat. Before that, had a draw with Yusuf Zalal in his debut. When it comes to the ground, Lacerda is gonna have better Brazilian jiu-jitsu, but Damon is gonna be the better wrestler, I feel. Standing up,
Yeah,
I feel
I agree.
this is where it's gonna get, both guys are prominently, ground guys, but they're well-rounded ground guys. And
Hmm.
standing up could be where this fight is won. Damon has a problem with, putting a lot of combinations together. And Lacerda is a pressure guy who comes forward. With that being said, I picked Damon on the podcast, but I have to go Lacerda on this one by decision, by just being
Okay.
a little bit busier.
Yeah, yeah, no, I can see that. Again, excuse me. There's another fight in my opinion could go either way, but I'm gonna go ahead and stick with my guns, man. I'm gonna go with the Mon Blackshear in a by decision in a very close fight. Um, very close fight, man. I think he can outstrike Lacerda and mix in some wrestling when he needs to. I see Blackshear striking being his biggest advantage in this one and getting the victory. Like Zach said, I know that they're both ground guys. You know, Lacerda's more of a BJJ guy, and Damon's got more of a wrestling background with his technique. But when you got two guys that favor um, being on the mat, most of the time and they don't cancel out and it'll turn into a striking battle. And with that being said, I just think the Mon will be a little bit better. But I see what you're saying. Lacerda's pressure does scare me for Blackshear because he does come forward, puts a lot of pressure on you. I see it being a very close fight that could go either way. But I give Damon a slight edge with the feet, and that's what's pushing me towards Damon in this.
All right, moving up the card, we got Jinh Frey taking on Elise Reed. Jinh Frey 2-4 in the UFC. Elise Reed 2-3. But if you look at Elise's fights, you know they're competitive. The ones that Frey is losing, you know they're subbing her, and yeah, I gotta go with Elise Reed. You know, stuffing takedowns, using her taekwondo, using her sidekicks, using her hands, and just beating up Frey for I'll probably say a lopsided decision on this one. I think Frey
Yeah,
just won't be able to get going and get her takedowns like she needs to win this one.
yeah, that's exactly how I have it, man. I mean, I can read my notes, but I mean, I think we see it pretty much the exact same way. Um, I'm going with Elise Reed by a pretty lopsided decision as well. She's a much younger fighter, and I see Reed being able to outbox Jinh Frey to get and to get the victory. If Frey can get it to the ground, she have a chance. But I see Reed being able to stuff those takedowns and outbox Frey on her way to victory.
All right, moving up the card, we have Daniel Santos taking on Johnny Muñoz Jr. Daniel Santos coming off a victory over Castañeda. Johnny Muñoz Jr. coming off of a victory as well. You know, both guys before they got in the UFC had a good bit of hype behind them, undefeated records. Santos dropped his UFC debut. Munoz, I want to say won his first fight in the UFC. No, lost his first fight in the UFC. This fight to me is gonna become if Munoz can get the takedown, that's where he would shine. Santos
Yep.
has to stuff takedowns and keep it standing and put relentless pressure. Munoz has to keep it on the ground and just smother the pressure and just slow down Santos. And Santos is the guy who just comes forward nonstop. Very relentless pressure, cardio, trains with Oliveira, has that shoebox style. And I think this is going to be a fight where guys are going to talk a lot more about Santos. And I see him getting the victory by TKO on this one.
Yep. Hey, that's exactly how I have it, man. But look, I want to say this. I do see um Santos winning by KO and TKO, some of that nature. But don't sleep on Johnny Munoz. Yeah, I mean he's a vet, been around for a while. You know, he does have a passive victory, like you said. With that being said, man, I'm going with Santos by TKO. His striking, cardio, and pressure are going to be the biggest differences in this one for me. If Munoz can get it to the ground, he'll have a chance. But I see Santos pushing the pace and wearing him down as the fight goes on to ultimately get that stoppage. Um, but like I said, Muñoz's been around, got good wrestling. He can get to the ground and smother. Santos on the ground and have a shot. I like Santos by TKO.
No doubt. All right, moving up the card, we got Andrei Arlovski taking on Dontel Mays. You know, we got a 44-year-old Arlovski. He was on a win streak and just got, TKO'd. We got Dontel Mays, wasn't in the most eventful fight facing Sakai. Dontel Mays has shown flashes of being good and just his gas tank usually fails him. Arlovski has to make this fight super, super slow to win this one. Has to put him against the cage, has to stay on the outside, has to jab. That's his path to victory. Dontel Mays has to not care and just go straight forward and try to put out Arlovski first. So it's really going to be depending on if Arlovski can weather the storm. If so, you can see a decision victory for him. If not, I think Mays gets him down out in the first round. I got to go with Mays on this one, being the younger fighter.
Okay. Yeah, I could definitely see that. I'm going with a lot of dogs in this one, man. For some reason, my gut just telling me otherwise. Um, I want to briefly say this. I've been a fan of Andrei Arlovski his whole career. You know, I've been watching him since his heydays in the UFC. But this isn't why I'm picking Andre. Um, I really feel like he can get the victory in this one. So yeah, with that being said, I'm gonna go with Andrei Arlovski by decision. Um, I think Andre is. I think Andre. Um, the biggest difference will be able to outstrike him, keep the fight in his range, slow the fight down, kind of push Mays up against the cage at times to slow it down as well. Um, I'll strike him from the outside and win a close decision, man. Like you said, Andrei does need to slow the fight down, make it a slow pace fight. And I think he'll be able to. You know, he's got a lot of experience. Um, he does it, and you know he's striking has been his cup of tea. You know, throughout his career. I know Father Time is undefeated, but I think in this matchup, I think he'll be able to do it, man. I'm gonna go with Andrei Arlovski in a close decision.
All right, moving up the card, we have John Castañeda taking on Muin Gafarov. Another close fight for me. I know Gafarov took this on short notice, but he's been doing his thing in LFA, has, some dynamic striking, spinning back kick, knock TKO finishes, good power in his hands, good striker. And Castaneda is a guy who will try to pick you apart and put pressure on you. So I think this has potential to be fight of the night. Castaneda did have a full camp. This is his, I want to say fifth fight in the UFC. Gafarov will be making his debut. I think when it's a close fight, little nuances like that, make the biggest difference. I see Castaneda getting a decision victory, but Gafarov is a guy who has power. We've seen Castaneda gas out in his previous fight. So very close fight. Um, you know, Gafarov is making his debut. It is short notice for him, but still keep an eye on him. Don't sleep on him. Close fight, but I gotta go Castaneda by decision on this one.
Yeah, man, and I can see that this one's tough because, like you mentioned, Gavrov is making his UFC debut on very short notice. Um, but I'm gonna go with Gavrov by KO. I see him outstriking Castaneda and ultimately catching him to get the finish. Castaneda coming off a KO loss as well, and I think Gavrov will be too powerful and explosive for him. And like you mentioned already, in your breakdown, uh, Castaneda has shown trouble with his gas tank in the past as well, which they might, with Gavrov making his debut on short notice, with a short notice fight and with his debut, that might hamper his gas tank a little bit as well. So it's a tough fight to pick, but I'm gonna go with Gavrov by KO. I think he's a real good dynamic striker, super explosive, and with Castaneda being stopped in the past and showing trouble with his gas tank, I'm gonna go out on a limb and pick Gavrov by KO. Could go
All
either way.
right. Moving up the card, we have Zaleski taking on Nurmagomedov. Zaleski has been out for a little while, I think over a year. But he has very good wins over very good guys. His last outing was a decision victory versus Benoit Saint Denis. He has wins over Sean Strickland, Curtis Melinder, Max Griffin. The list goes on and on. This guy is a very good striker and has good jiu-jitsu. And we got a guy like Nurmagomedov, the last name speaks for itself. Abubakar Nurmagomedov is a wrestler. He's looking to get you down, hold you down, slow the fight down. Um, I gotta go with Zaleski on this one. I mean, I feel like his striking is gonna be really good. It's gonna make Nurmagomedov shoot from a far distance, and he's gonna be able to see it and counter with shots or counter with submission. So I got Zaleski probably by TKO on this one.
Yeah, Zachary split again, bro. Holy shit. Um, yeah. With that being said, good luck once again. Uh, I'm going with Nurmagomedov. I think his ground game will be the difference, and ground game and pressure will be the biggest difference here. I see him being able to get to the ground and use his ground game to just grind out a decision. I definitely do agree with you that Zaleski will have the ends on the feet. So it'll boil down to whoever is able to implement their game plan first and really get their game plan going in the right direction. But I'm going to go with Nurmagomedov by decision. Another fight that I wouldn't be surprised if it go the other way.
All right, next fight we have Jamie Mullarkey facing on Naimov. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his first name because I'll butcher it. But we got Naimov taking on this fight like literally 2 or 3 days notice. He is 8-2. He's coming off a win over Dylan Schultz, 4-3 record. Before that, a win over a 10-3 guy split decision. But all the other wins are guys, that, they aren't the most experienced guys. He does have a win over Landon Quinones. He is on, this season's Ultimate Fighter. And you got a guy like Jamie Mullarkey who had a full camp, looked really good in his last outing versus Francisco Prada. Striking looked good, even sprinkled in a couple takedowns there. And before that, a split decision over Michael Johnson. He's only losing to really good guys like Jalen Turner, Brad Riddell. So I really feel like, Mullarkey is probably a lock for this one to get the win over Naimov. You might
Thank
see a
God.
decision, victory, or you might see, a finish, but I definitely got Mullarkey on this
Yeah. We finally have one together, Zach. Brothers stick together.
one.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going with Mullarkey, uh, fighting Naimov, who's taking this fight on short notice. Um, I see Mullarkey pushing the pace and wearing him down, and ultimately catching him on the feet to get a TKO victory. Um, Mullarkey has also been getting better with each fight, man. That's something to point out as well. James Mullarkey's been doing his thing, man, and I think this will be a showcase for him, man. I like Mullarkey by TKO, and I'm excited to see what he can do in the future.
All right, moving up the card, we have Ketlen Souza facing Karine Silva. Karine Silva, she has fought around this time last year. She was scheduled to fight in April this year, but I think injuries or something happened. And she's looking to continue her undefeated streak in the UFC. This will be her second outing in there. And she's a really good submission artist, and she does have power in her hands as well. Um, Ketlen Souza is, making her UFC debut. And she's coming from the Invictor circuit where, those are the best girls outside of the UFC. And she has 2 wins in Invicta. And besides that, it's kind of like the other guy I broke down, Naimov, is wins over, girls with even records or losing records. And I feel like Karine Silva will get the job done. Um, you know, Souza does have losses by TKO, so that's one thing to keep in mind. No losses by submission, so I don't know if Karine Silva will be able to get it there, but look for Karine Silva most likely by decision.
Yeah. Um, I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say Souza by KO. Um, really dynamic striker, making her UFC debut. I've been watching her for a while. She's really good, and I don't think Silva is quite as good as her. No, I'm just joking. Exactly. No.
Boy, you got me on that one.
Yeah, I had to see what you were gonna say. It's all right, Jack.
I
I'm
was gonna let
taking
you
these
run with
risks.
it.
Yeah, I should have. Oh yeah, all jokes aside, though. This one would be a lot for me. Again, we don't bet anymore, but this would be a lot for me. I'm gonna go with Silva. Even though Souza has never been submitted, I just man, I love Silva's ground game, man. I'm gonna go Silva by submission. Um, Souza taking this fight on really short notice and making her debut. I see Silva overwhelming her with the grappling and ultimately getting the finish on the ground. But like you said, wouldn't be surprised if Silva would be able to keep him on the feet and outstrike her to win a pretty dominant decision as well. But I like Silva by submission. I'm gonna go with Silva by submission. Regardless, we both think Silva's gonna win.
All right, moving up the card. Second fight on the main card, we have Tim Elliott taking on Victor Altamirano. This is another kind of obvious pick for me. I feel like Tim Elliott is one of the better guys at 125. Altamirano, although he did win his last fight, he's not fighting the best of guys. You got wins over Vicinius Salvador, and he was making his UFC debut. Wins over Daniel Lacerda, and before that, a split decision loss to Carlos Hernandez. Those guys are good, but they're not top 15 good. Tim Elliott's been fighting nothing but dogs ever since he got into UFC. And he's fought for the title, gave Demetrius Johnson a decent fight, won the Ultimate Fighter. I get that he's going through some things outside of the UFC, but watching Altamirano striking isn't the most polished. His takedowns aren't the most solid. I think Tim Elliott gets probably a submission victory pretty early in this fight.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know if he gets it done, but I definitely have Tim Elliott with him in this fight. Um, I'm gonna go with Elliott by decision. He's a very well-rounded fighter, well-rounded veteran. We've seen it all in his career. I see him outstriking Altamirano on his bit of victory. But like you said, he can definitely get it down to the ground and have success. And if he would pull off a submission, it wouldn't surprise me. Uh, like I said, Tim just a well-rounded veteran, seen it all, tough as nails, always comes to fight. I love Tim Medley in this fight. I can't wait to watch him fight. He's always fun to watch him fight, man. Never in a boring fight. I'm glad he's on the floor.
All right, moving up the card, we have Jim Miller versus a guy we're real familiar with, Jesse Butler. Jesse Butler taking this fight on literally 2 days' notice. Jim Miller was scheduled to take on Jared Gordon. Jesse Butler steps in, and not too many people are familiar with Butler, but a lot of people are familiar with Jim Miller. Jim Miller probably has one of the most fights in the UFC right now that's currently on the roster. And those who don't know Butler, Butler is a really good jiu-jitsu guy who also has knockout power in his hands and, a really, really good gas tank. Um, it's a tough task to fight Jim Miller on your UFC debut, but they couldn't have picked a more gamer guy in Jesse Butler. He's not going to be one of these guys who, is just in there to get, his UFC debut and then get a full camp his next fight. He's going to be pushing the pace. He's going to be in Jim Miller's face. He's going to be looking to win the whole time. You know, him being from Louisiana, we're biased. We're going to ride for our guy. But, this is a fight where don't fall into the trap and think that this is going to be a easy win for Jim Miller. Jesse Butler is definitely coming with it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Like you said, another guy from the boot getting the call up to the UFC, man. Shout out to Jesse and shout out to all of Louisiana MMA, for continue to make really good progress, man, and continue to put our region on the map. With that being said, like Zach said, man, this is a real slick BJJ guy with good power in his hands, always in shape, always comes forward. Will be in a dog fight, win, lose, or draw. Um, you know, like Zach said, I hate to keep piggybacking and taking words out the mouth, but it's true. The guy he's not, look, we don't know what's going to happen. A fight's a fight, but I can promise you this. Jesse Butler ain't coming in here just to get a paycheck and put on the Venom trunk. He's coming to get the damn job done. And I love Jim Miller. I'm a huge Jim Miller fan. But like you said, we're rocking with our boy Jesse Butler, and hopefully he gets it done, man. Really looking forward to seeing him make his debut and get to get in there and dance with an all-time veteran. So really hyped up for this fight, and hopefully Jesse gets it done, man.
Yes, sir. Moving up to the main event, we have Kai France taking on Amir Albazi. World's real familiar with Kai.
Uncle Zach, you skipped the fight, buddy.
What we
We
skip?
got Bruce Leroy up next in the
Oh
co-main.
shit. Oh shit. Uncle Zach slipping, man. Bruce Leroy taking on Daniel Pineda. You know, Alex Caceres, real slick guy. Really good submissions, well-rounded striking. If there's one aspect he did struggle with, it is, takedown defense. Daniel Pineda, really well-rounded guy. Fought in PFL, fought in Bellator, fought in, UFC. He's done it all. And I think this is his last run right here. Looked real impressive over Tucker Lutz, his last fight. And Bruce Leroy looked impressive getting the head kick knockout his last fight. It's all gonna really determine if Pineda can close distance. If you can't close distance, it's gonna be a long night. And Pineda is a guy, if he's fighting young prospects who try to get him out early, he usually, weathers the storm and tends to take over. Bruce Leroy is not that guy. He's a young vet as well, and he's gonna not make mistakes that Tucker Lutz made. You know what I'm saying? So I got Bruce Leroy by decision on this one.
Yeah, so do I. I'm going with Bruce Leroy by decision. Uh, but yeah, I like to close the distance and also has a really solid ground game. But I see Bruce Leroy being able to stuff the takedowns, keep in front of his feet, and outstrike Pineda at range to give the victory. Pineda's best chance to win, like you mentioned already, to close the distance and get it to the ground. But I just think Bruce Leroy is, he's a young guy, but he's a young veteran, like you mentioned. And I think he's got enough experience and enough wherewithal to just keep the fight at his range and outstrike Pineda on his way to victory.
No doubt, no doubt. Now we have the main event, Kai France taking on Amir Albazi. Kai France coming off a title fight loss to Brandon Moreno, where Brandon Moreno did get the better of him in the striking department. Before that was on a tear, had two stoppage wins, which you don't see a lot at 125. And you have Albazi, who might not have the best resume, names on his records, but a lot of these fights that he was scheduled to do, he had to pull out, or his opponent pulled out. He was scheduled against Brandon Royval, didn't happen. Alex Perez didn't happen. Tim Elliott didn't happen. So the UFC's been trying to give him good matchups, but his last fight was the guy who took it on short notice. He did what he was supposed to do. He got the third round, TKO finish. Before that, beat Figueiredo's brother pretty easily. Before that, beat Zamagulov pretty easily. So we haven't really seen this guy get, tested. Uh, Kai France is a really good test for him. Kai's gonna bring it. He's gonna sprawl and brawl. And I think Amir Albazi, we're really gonna see if he's that good or if he needs a couple more fights before he gets this title shot. I think he's that good. I think he's well rounded enough. I think his ground game, his wrestling, and his striking is gonna do wonders for this fight. Kai France has to land, a knockout shot to win this fight. And I think the only way Albazi loses this is if he gets caught. So I gotta go by Albazi by decision.
Yeah, this is another tough fight to call, man. But I'm gonna stick with Kai. But I can definitely see, what you're saying too. I'm gonna go with Kai France by decision in a close fight. Kai is a more experienced fighter. Um, he's fought for a title already. Um, I see him using his experience, stuffing those takedowns and um and wearing him down as the fight goes on to get the victory. But like you said, if Albazi gets it to the ground, I think Kai could be in some real trouble. But I just think, another thing to point out is, you know, I don't know if Kai's ever went five full rounds, but he's been scheduled to fight 5 rounds in the past. Um, and he's fought, you know, the more high level opposition. Um, and we know Kai's got a legitimate skill set. You know, he before his last loss, he was on a tear, really doing his thing. And I think so. I think his experience and you know, things of that nature will help him get the victory. And I see Kai for the most part being able to stuff some takedowns, like you said, sprawl and brawl, and outstrike Albazi on his way to victory. But if Albazi gets to the ground, it'll be really interesting. So high level fight right here, solid main event. They'll close out the card. Looking forward to seeing them, man.
No doubt, no doubt. And if we had to say fight of the night on this card, I would probably have to stick with Castañeda versus Gafarov. I feel like that's gonna be a high-paced striking matchup, sprinkled in with a couple takedowns. Another fight on there to probably keep your eyes on is gonna be the Bruce Leroy versus Daniel Pineda fight. That's gonna be a fun fight.
Yeah.
And then I feel like the main event has potential to have some crazy moments in that one as well. So I think the whole fight card, even though they don't have the biggest names, I think you're gonna get some good finishes and some fun fights. I don't really see too many fights on here that could be like really boring. I think the only one can maybe be the heavyweight fight, Arlovski versus Mays. But aside from that, man, they have some really fun matchups.
Yeah, I agree. Like you said, not the biggest names, but there's some solid fights on here, man. And I'm looking forward to getting into it. Um, uh, I agree with you. I think the three fights that you mentioned would be my three fights that I'm really looking forward to. Alongside with the Jesse Butler fight, of course. You know, our guy making his UFC debut. So of course I'm gonna be super light into that one, obviously. But besides that one, those three fights that you mentioned will be the ones that I'm looking forward to the most, man. So looking forward to these fights. Should be a solid little fight night for us.
So that's our breakdown, man. All we ask is that you like, subscribe, comment, comment your predictions before we close this out. Harley, what you got?
Again, thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe to the channels. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Blackshear Media. Also, guys, please don't forget, when you see it on YouTube, smash that like button, man. That helps with the algorithms, helps us get our name and our pod out there more. So if you can, whoever watches this video, please smash that like button. Help us grow this thing, man. And with that being said, we'll be back next week to break down some more fights.